Good evening and welcome. You're watching the news track. I'm Rahul Kanwal. As the rumblings within the Uttar Pradesh BJP continue, we ask the question, how do voters in India's most important political battleground state look at what's going on in Uttar Pradesh at this moment? The first time a poll has been done after the Lok Sabha elections to try and get a sense of the mood of the UP voter on all the issues that have been swirling in the political air of Uttar Pradesh. Coming up in this week's Political Stock Exchange.
UP Tremors becoming a quake. Yogi government versus BJP fight peaks.
मेरा दायित्व बनता, मैं यहाँ नौकरी करने नहीं आया हूँ कि अगर वो करेगा तो भुगतेगा भी फिर, और इसीलिए मैं यहाँ पे आया हूँ कि हम लोग उससे लड़ेंगे.
Land bill becomes a big flashpoint. BJP versus BJP in Uttar Pradesh. What do UP voters think? First and only UP Post poll mood tracker. Political Stock Exchange.
Are the tremors in the UP government becoming louder amid the rumblings of the Yogi government being up against its own party organization? The UP CM declared in the State Assembly that he's not here to do a mere naukri. The emphatic statement comes after a land bill passed in the Assembly was stalled in the Legislative Council after BJP State President and other party leaders demanded that a bill passed by the Yogi government be sent to a standing committee, raising the question about whether it's now BJP government versus BJP state organization in the state of Uttar Pradesh.
मैं यहाँ नौकरी करने नहीं आया हूँ, कतई नहीं. मैं यहाँ पे इस बात के लिए आया हूँ कि अगर वो करेगा तो भुगतेगा भी फिर, और इसीलिए मैं यहाँ पे आया हूँ. मुझे प्रतिष्ठा प्राप्त करनी होती है तो मुझसे इससे ज्यादा प्रतिष्ठा अपने मठ में मिल जाती है.
An emphatic declaration from UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath amid rumblings of a split within his government.
मैं यहाँ नौकरी करने नहीं आया हूँ, कतई नहीं. मैं यहाँ पे इस बात के लिए आया हूँ कि अगर वो करेगा तो भुगतेगा भी फिर, और इसीलिए मैं यहाँ पे आया हूँ कि हम लोग उससे लड़ेंगे. ये लड़ाई हमारी सामान्य लड़ाई नहीं है, ये प्रतिष्ठा की लड़ाई भी नहीं है. मुझे प्रतिष्ठा प्राप्त करनी होती है तो मुझसे से ज्यादा प्रतिष्ठा अपने मठ में मिल जाती है.
The UP CM speech became fodder for the opposition. Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav mocked, asking why Yogi Adityanath was venting his anger against Delhi in Lucknow.
योगी के मुंह से इस तरह की भाषा अच्छी लगती नहीं, लेकिन उनमें पता नहीं कब समझ आएगी.
देखिए, मुख्यमंत्री जी भी हमको लगता है कि कुछ ज़्यादा ही बोलते हैं, और इसी वजह से उनको ये समझना चाहिए कि अभी 2024 का लोकसभा का चुनाव हुआ, उनके इसी बढ़बोली की वजह से जो बीजेपी की जो सीट थी उत्तर प्रदेश से घटकर वो 33 पर आ गए.
The fissures within the UP government seem to be cracking open, and the Nazul land bill has brought them to the fore. Passed by the UP Assembly, the bill has been stalled and sent for a review to the standing committee, after UP BJP president and key party leaders voiced their objections in the Legislative Council.
परिषद के सदस्य के नाते मैंने ये सुझाव दिया कि बिल को समिति के प्रवर समिति को सौंपा जाए, जिससे और गहनता से व्यापकता से इस पर विचार हो. जो सरकार के लोग हैं, माननीय डिप्टी सीएम हमारे दोनों और माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी, उनसे इस पर जरूर बातचीत हुई होगी, लेकिन परिषद की भी इस पर सहमति है और सबने सहमति से इस पर समर्थन दिया.
Sources tell India Today that CM Yogi is in favor of the land bill being reviewed. But voices of discontent are rising with BJP allies like Apna Dal's Anupriya Patel and Nishad Party's Sanjay Nishad.
कुछ अधिकारी ऐसे, मैंने पहले भी बता दिया, कि वो ऐसा घुमा रहे हैं कि वोट नाराज हो रहा है। 2027 चुनाव है, 2029 चुनाव है, हम किसी को उजाड़ेंगे तो क्या हमें निषाद पार्टी एनडीए को छोड़ेगा थोड़ी, वो भी वोट काहे को देगा।
The bill that proposes that land without claimants or legal heirs for decades be transferred to the state government, preventing its privatization, has become the latest political flashpoint in Uttar Pradesh.
कि प्रदेश अध्यक्ष जी को मुख्यमंत्री जी ने बुलाया था, साथ साथ दोनों डिप्टी सीएम्स को बुलाया था, और फिर सुरेश खन्ना जी को भी मुख्यमंत्री जी ने बुलाया। तो मुख्यमंत्री जी ने पहल करी और इस पर चर्चा करके ये फिर निर्णय निकला कि प्रसर समिति को भेज दिया जाएगा। तो वो प्रस्ताव जो था प्रदेश के अध्यक्ष के माध्यम से रखा गया भाजपा के, और केशव जी ने इसको प्रस्ताव को रखा है विधेयक को।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी में आपस में घमासान मची है, एक दूसरे से झगड़े हो रहे हैं, एक दूसरे पर आरोप प्रत्यारोप लग रहा है। अब डिप्टी सीएम तक बात थी, अब वो प्रदेश अध्यक्ष तक बात आ गई है।
The internal conflict in the UP government has been escalating since the BJP's poor showing in the state in the 2024 general elections. The escalation came after a series of cryptic statements by Deputy CM Keshav Prasad Maurya.
अति आत्मविश्वास में कई बार हम फंसे हैं, ये मैं मानता हूं, लेकिन हमें यह सदा ध्यान में रखना चाहिए, चुनाव सदा पार्टी लड़ती है। जब सरकार नहीं थी तब जीते, और जब सरकार आ गई तो थोड़ा सोचे कि अब तो हम सरकार के बल पे चुनाव नहीं जीता जाता, पार्टी ही लड़ती है, पार्टी ही जीतती है।
It's BJP versus BJP in Uttar Pradesh. With Abhishek Mishra and Samarth Srivastav in Lucknow. Bureau Report, India Today.
So far, the BJP has been doing its own Sangathan and government meetings. The RSS has been meeting. The opposition has been taking stock. They're building up to the 10 assembly bypolls. But what we haven't seen is the mood of the voters in Uttar Pradesh, which is why we commissioned C-Voter to do this poll for us. I want to take our viewers through the methodology used. So this is about 1,600 as the sample size done between the 29th and the 31st of July. And I want to tell our viewers that these responses are specifically from the state of Uttar Pradesh. These are CATI telephonic polls specifically done in Uttar Pradesh. And what they'll do really is give you a sense of how voters in Uttar Pradesh perceive the current situation in the state. So I'll take you through question number one. What do voters in Uttar Pradesh think is the reason for BJP's poor show in the UP Lok Sabha polls? Remember, poor relative to their high standards from the last two elections. And there are two things I want you to look at carefully. One is, what do NDA voters think? See, India voters in this case don't matter so much because these are largely questions to do with the BJP's performance. You can ignore this. Look at how NDA voters feel. Look at the total responses. So, coming up right on top is BJP's overconfidence, with 21% of the overall respondents saying this is the reason for the BJP not doing well. Being unaware of ground reality is 14.4%. Fielding the wrong candidates is 22.2% of the overall responses. And if you look within the BJP supporters, 30% of the respondents think that because the party fielded the wrong candidates, they did not do well. Harping on Hindutva or discontent among party workers are not seen as key reasons behind the BJP's poor show in the UP Lok Sabha polls. I want to come to the second question. This is the reason for the BJP's poor show. Now, who's responsible? Who should take responsibility for the BJP's performance in Uttar Pradesh during the Lok Sabha elections? The state government is the answer of 28% of the overall respondents. Central leadership is the response of 22% of the overall respondents. Party organization is about 19%. About 19% say all of the above. So this is now a very mixed bag. If you see, even among NDA respondents, they're not sure who to blame. It's kind of split equally, virtually equally, between the state leadership, the central leadership, and party organization. Which of these damaged the BJP the most in Uttar Pradesh. Let's come to the third question on the political stock exchange this week. Fascinating respondents. 49% of the overall respondents say unemployment and price rise damage the BJP the most. Even among NDA voters, 36% say it's unemployment and price rise that damage the BJP the most. 30% say it's the charge of Constitution Badal Denge which damaged the BJP, and 23% of the overall respondents. So unemployment and price rise 49%, and 23% say Constitution being changed, that charge by the opposition, damaged the BJP the most. Now I come to the next question. On your screen right now, what led to the BJP's loss in Ayodhya? What led to the BJP's loss in Ayodhya? 24% of the respondents say it's Akhilesh's caste strategy. 26% say it's resentment amongst locals. Alienation of OBCs and Dalits is 28%. So that's on the question of Ayodhya. I want to take a few questions and then introduce you to our guests joining us for this broadcast. I want to come now to that one question which is being spoken of very often in hushed tones inside and outside. This is the question about, is there an attempt being made at this time within the BJP to replace Maharaj Yogi Adityanath? Now remember, the BJP denies this formally, but it's discussed, whether it's Delhi, whether it's Lucknow, any part of Uttar Pradesh, this is discussed quite widely. So we just threw this question out there to see what do people think. Now here are the respondents. 42% say yes, there is an attempt to replace Yogi Adityanath as CM. 29% say yes, there are discussions but no active attempt. 20% of the overall respondents say no, there is no attempt at all. 36% of NDA voters say there is an attempt to replace Yogi Adityanath. 32% say there are discussions but no active attempts. So now this is very important. As I said earlier, what India voters think on this question don't matter, because in any case they're not going to vote for Yogi or the BJP. But amongst overall respondents, 42%, a pretty big number, say yes, there seems to be an attempt. 29% saying there are discussions but no active attempt yet. So that sets up this conversation. Allow me to introduce to you Ajay Alok from the Bharatiya Janata Party. In our studios with us also Ghanshyam Tiwari from the Samajwadi Party. Ghanshyam ji, welcome. For perspective from outside, we have Amitabh Tiwari, political analyst. Sharad Pradhan joins us, long-time watcher of Uttar Pradesh politics. Rajat Sethi is with us. And the man who's pulling all these strings at the back, Yashwant Deshmukh from the United States, the lead cephalogist of Sea Voter. I want to ask Yashwant Deshmukh first. On the responses that I've put out so far, what I find interesting is, despite the BJP denying as emphatically as is possible that there is no attempt to replace Yogi Adityanath, despite that 42% of the respondents ko lag raha hai kuch dal mein kala hai, there's some attempt being made to replace Yogi Adityanath. What do you make of the first set of responses? Yashwant Deshmukh.
Well, one thing is very clear, Rahul, that people are understanding politics just the way the politics is being played out. You know, and it's like politicians or the political class thinking that they are playing something which people are not very aware of. So I think they are pretty much aware of, and they are not just telling that they are aware of, but they are also dissecting the causes of the shock results of Uttar Pradesh in a much more precise and mathematical way than many of the political scientists and editors can do. One thing which stood out very clearly for me in that data was one of the reasons that people said was the wrong selection of candidate that got the maximum numbers of Uttar Pradesh, followed by the overconfidence, which actually was an extension of the reason number one, Rahul.
So let me put that to Ajay Alok, because, you know, 4 in 10 respondents thinking that your government might choose to change its chief minister, that's problematic, whether it happens or not, because unlike say a UPA government or an unstable state government, the Yogi government, the Modi government have been seen as being very strong, damdar governments. You know, all this that is going on at this moment, is it now for the first time creating a semblance of uncertainty where even BJP supporters seem to reflect that uncertainty? They don't know what's going on. They think, are they going to change Yogi Adityanath?
Rahul, if you analyze the Lok Sabha elections, yes, I do agree that we were not able to counter the narrative which was set by the opposition, like Arvind Kejriwal coming up and saying, "Ye 2 mahine mein Yogi ko badal denge." That narrative was again strengthened by the various opposition parties. Then the second narrative, ये आरक्षण खत्म कर देंगे, ये संविधान बदल देंगे, इसलिए 400 चाहिए. Definitely, as a party, and we have realized that we were not able to counter those narratives on the ground.
But is it that simple? Because usually there is no smoke without fire. No matter what Akhilesh Yadav or Rahul Gandhi say, unless voters in Uttar Pradesh are willing to believe, because of what they see, they suspect that something is going on. Only then will they believe that narrative, otherwise they'll dismiss it outright. The opposition has said so much about your government in the past, nobody believed it.
Yes, that's what today in the Vidhan Sabha, Yogi ji said it very clearly. He quoted Panchtantra and he said, he narrated a story of a Bakri and a Kutta and about the 4 thieves who robbed a common man. So, what happens with the narrative that if it becomes a perception, then it's a problematic.
No, why is it becoming a perception?
That's what, this became perception during Lok Sabha polls, after the 3rd or 4th phase.
Because Kejriwal said that's why it became...
Kejriwal said, and then multiple things, other things happening, then ये संविधान बदल देंगे, इसलिए इनको 400 पार चाहिए, संविधान खत्म कर देंगे, आरक्षण खत्म कर देंगे.
No, but you were the master of the narrative. How is the narrative slipping out of your control?
I fully realize that this is the reason, and most of our leaders have acknowledged it, that this is the reason, this is the counter narrative.
No, but isn't there a larger problem here that the BJP for the past 10 years was master of the narrative? You could spin whichever narrative you want. Your leader said, हम तो जो चाहते हैं वो बोलते हैं, लोग मान लेते हैं. Now, people don't seem to be believing what you're saying.
The problem is the narrative of truth. It takes time to spread. And narrative of false and lies, it spreads like a fire. And that's why they got the result. But like Yogi ji said, काट की हांडी बार-बार नहीं चढ़ती है. अब
so it's a one-off.
1 लाख आ गए ना अकाउंट में खटाखट. And 27 में होगा सपाचट. We are the party who learns from its own mistake. We have learning for our own mistake. What
now,
we did.
Ghanshyam Tewari, this is the BJP's hope that this game of constitution khatre mein hai, they'll change the constitution, play only once. It's like a ace of cards. You've played it out. It won't play again and again, and you've exhausted that ammunition. That's their hope. Okay, that you build this narrative, but you can't, with the same trick, convince the same people again.
Well, one is that the saga is not over for BJP. This is India Today recent edition, 31st July, and its title is the Hindi version that says, "Pehle aapas mein to lad lein." It quotes all the BJP leaders, including a leader who puts his 42 years of career in BJP on the line, and he says that he has not seen such a corrupt administration ever. People are looking at this.
No, आपके भी तो बहुत लड़ते थे. You had 5.5 chief ministers. They were constantly daggers drawn. So it's not new. I mean, BJP is now becoming a bit like other parties.
We are talking about today. 1 second.
But you were always like this.
My first sentence. We are talking about today. India today. We are talking about 2027. One, people see BJP as a casteist party focused on certain castes. They are non-committal. In fact, they go to the extent that they will abuse people who talk about caste census in the parliament. Choicest abusers. So the issues are not going away for BJP. The dysfunction of governance in Uttar Pradesh, when you have failures in Ayodhya, when you have failures with respect to paper leak, the charges land on Yogi Adityanath ji as well as his entire leadership, and that leadership is in disarray. That's point number one. Point number two is that people believe that there's
no, but where is that? You are trying to project that the leadership is in disarray. The BJP at the highest levels has communicated to the Chief Minister that there is no plan, that he has to go out, do what he has to win the assembly by polls.
Yesterday he said कि मैं प्रतिष्ठा चाहिए होगी मठ चले जाऊंगा. The Chief Minister said
that's not what he said. He said there is more pratishtha, there is more prestige in being in the mud.
I mean, think about it. There are people, largest state of India. The Chief Minister stands up and says, "Pratishtha चाहिए होगी मठ चले जाऊंगा." The Deputy Chief Minister says,
"This is how you
सरकार से बड़ा संगठन होता है." Boss, you don't want to serve the state, go to the mud. Who's stopping you? अगर आपको संगठन में you're deputy chief minister, the state is in disarray, you cannot conduct exams, you cannot fix infrastructure, there is flooding, and what are you saying? One person wants to go to the mud as a leader, and the other person wants to say that I want to go to sangathan, and at the top level you wanted to speak about double engine. You look at the double engine when Yogi Adityanath does not even say namaste to the Prime Minister, to Amit Shah. The fire is out in the open, but we are not talking about the fire specifically.
No, but this fight between the supposed fight between the UP CM and the Deputy CM, you're trying very hard to deny that there is something amiss. But now the UP CM passes the bill in the UP Assembly. When it comes to the Legislative Council, his own leaders, before that they decide that this is problematic, let's oppose it, and it gets sent to a select committee. Now, If this had happened in the UP, you'll say left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. How is this happening to the almighty BJP?
No.
That your chief minister brings a bill, gets passed in the assembly, which your own leaders later oppose.
Let me clarify this, because you, Aastak and India Today both ran this story yesterday for quite a long period of time. This Nejul bill was passed in UP Assembly.
Correct.
What got to UP Vidhan Parishad, and with the consent of Chief Minister, when many MLAs met Chief Minister, this bill was sent to the Select Committee.
True, I know that. I understand. But sir, there is a problem there.
There's no friction.
You know,
now, this is the narrative what is being tried to set.
Let me just explain this. If what Ajay Alok is saying is correct, the way to do it is that you speak to your MLAs, your ministers, before you bring a bill to the assembly. You discuss with them, then you bring the bill. Here they've already bought the bill, they've made the bill go through the house, later realizing that members of their own party don't like this bill and they come out and oppose. The time for deliberation and building a consensus is before your party and government brings a bill to the house, sir.
You are right. I agree to it. But most of the problem is, like if you bill a bill, and if you view the bill, like 255 members of BJP, and with our allies, we are effectively somewhere around 280. Now, that bill cannot be discussed in length with 280 MLAs. Now, when the bill is
but
presented
these are your
in the
most
House,
prominent leaders.
When the bill is
the likes of your state party president, your deputy chief minister and the others, and even the other MLAs who opposed it, are amongst your most prominent leaders. Apne leaders se to baat kar lo bill aane se pehle.
They didn't oppose it. They amended some suggestions in the bill, which was duly sent to the Select Committee.
So
for
they came and said this will become like the land acquisition bill. It will become problematic. The opposition will say, "Hamari land le rahe."
This is what we call narrative setting. This is what we call narrative setting. Here is the government who has passed the bill in the UP Assembly.
Why didn't they talk to their own MLAs before that?
Here is the same government who wants to reconsider it, so that bill is being stopped in Vidhan Parishad.
So why didn't they talk to their own MLAs before bringing the bill?
In the state.
You're not answering my question.
I'm coming one by one. In the state, nothing can be done without the consent of Chief Minister. Now, when you say the Deputy CM is fighting with CM, it's not possible. Deputy CM is Deputy CM because the CM wants them to be Deputy CM.
So here's the simple question, and I want to. Yes,
it's not formed by anyone else.
Just as a icebreaker in this discussion, अनुप्रिया पटेल यानी कोट आज तक ने एक्स पर लिखा कि इसे तत्काल वापस लिया जाना चाहिए और ऐसे अधिकारियों के खिलाफ सख्त कार्रवाई की जाए जिन्होंने इस विधेयक को लेकर सरकार को गुमराह किया.
And Sanjay Nishad said the same. Both of these are your allies.
Central Minister is saying ally is saying that the government has been misled. Not that she is furious. She is saying that those officers who misled the government you should take action on that.
So they should be happy about it.
This is a
they should be happy about it.
No,
the government
so what is Ajay Alok? What is there to be happy about in your government? Two allies who are important for your vote bank are criticizing you constantly. Now look at what he's saying. You know, it's not so innocent. If the ally is saying, who are the bureaucrats who misled the government? I mean, the hidden text is, are government ministers so stupid that they can't apply their own mind that the bureaucrats will come and mislead them? It's a very straight barb at your top leadership in Uttar Pradesh.
See, if the Chief Minister is being informed about the various aspects of the bill which is not acceptable to the allies or for his own party members, then there should be a discussion and there should be a suitable consideration. That's why this bill was stopped in Vidhan Parishad. It is done with the consent of the Chief Minister. I don't know how you're finding fire to it. There's no fire, absolutely.
No, the fire is because there was no discussion before the bill was brought. 5-7 years
That's
ago,
what I'm telling you.
This would have gone through.
No.
It would have gone through.
That's what I'm
the
telling
allies would not have, they would have done bulbul amongst themselves. They wouldn't have had the courage to speak in public. Now they're speaking against you. They're tweeting about it. They're commenting. They're doing tic-tacs. There's a real problem you have on your hands, sir.
See, when monsoon comes, the frog starts making noise. Let's not worry about them. And these, these SP and all, they are like frogs. Everybody's
your allies are frogs.
No,
Ghanshyam Tiwari is a frog.
What they are trying to do, they are trying to put fuel into the fire where there is no fire. They are wasting their fuel. Somebody saying, I'm coming with the monsoon offer. Somebody saying, 100 lao sarkar banao. All these kind of things.
Now, Amitabh Tiwari, it is quite clear, and I've spoken to very senior BJP leaders, that there is no plan afoot at this moment to change the UP CM. They think he's the best man for the job. Despite that, you've got all these theories. Akhilesh Yadav tweeted, "Aapka gussa aage hai ya piche hai?" You know, is it towards the opposition benches? Are you upset with those in the treasury benches who are not supporting you? They're looking at the body language. Unka gussa dekho. He doesn't look in charge. You know, he's having to take his decisions back. This is not the same CM. All kinds of things are doing the rounds. It used to happen in the Vajpayee era. You know, you used to have a field day, all kinds of panditry. That level of speculation and panditry just came apart during the first 10 years of the Modi government. Now, in the manner in which it is resurfacing, how do you square that with the PSC data, the first set of questions I just ran?
See, if you see whether the BJP will replace Yogi or not, 42% of the overall respondents are saying yes. But if you see the NDA voters, 2/3 of NDA voters are saying yes, and there is a discussion about it, but it's not yet certain. So 2/3 of the NDA voters are accepting that there is some sort of a cloud over Yogi's leadership. Of course, it could be a narrative, it could be media bites which various factions are giving. If you see the first question as to why BJP did so badly, I've always believed that the most important reason has been the selection of candidates, and that's what is coming out. 30% of NDA respondents are saying selection of candidates. All India level, BJP replaced more than 40% of its MPs, but in UP, it did not even replace 20% of its MPs, and that is what made the election local. And one more fascinating data which is coming out is what damaged BJP more. If you see that, most of us believe that the argument or the statements about change of constitution led to the defeat, whereas even amongst NDA voters, the bread and butter issue of unemployment and price rise comes as the number one. So it was unemployment and price rise number one, along with the change of constitution statement, which damaged BJP not only in UP overall, but also in Ayodhya. And the last point I want to make is that who's responsible? Now, clearly the MY Jodi is responsible as per the respondents. 50% of the respondents blame Modi-Yogi Jodi or the central and the state leadership for the loss in UP. So now state elections are still some 2.5, 3 years away. But if you are on the back foot, all these things automatically...
Okay. No, Rajat Sethi, there was a time not long ago where if Delhi or Lucknow said, shh, everybody would go khamosh. Now they're constantly telling their allies, their own MLAs, their MPs to stay silent. It's not working. Ajay Alok says it's a narrative. This is just narrative bazi. Part of it is narrative bazi. But then there is enough smoke there for people, the citizens, and for the likes of Ghanshyam, the likes of Akhilesh Yadav to say, boss, all is not well in Lucknow.
No, you're right, Rahul. I think voters typically, they very quickly pick up these signals when there is sort of a political storm, and no political storms are created in a teacup. This is big enough a storm. It's not just narrative, it has gone beyond narrative. And I think the solution to a problem starts with first realizing that, yes, there is problem. For 10 years, there was a model of governance which was initiated by the Prime Minister because he believed in a strong centralization where he could deliver on the promises that he has made to the electorate. And public loved it. And they still continue to love that model. What happened was that every chief minister in every other state started mirroring that model of governance, wherein the political stakeholders in a state were slightly put to the margins and the bureaucrats were brought in order to centralize power. That actually led into the same sort of governance spread out in every other state where BJP was in rule. In some state, it was small in size and you could effectively run that centralized model. But certain states were big enough where the cracks in the overall equation would have come up to the surface. And I believe in Uttar Pradesh, for a fairly long time, there was bureaucratization of the core politics there. When bureaucrats become all the more powerful, where ministers do not have enough power to take care of their constituents, the momentum is lost. They tend to lose interest in the overall.
Ajay Alok, you want to respond? आपने इतना time किसी को बोलने का मौका नहीं दिया, मौका मिला, अब सब बोल रहे हैं. That's the problem. Because bureaucrats ran the show, politicians and ministers felt they were disenfranchised. Now they have a chance. It's free for all.
So everybody should speak, no? It's good for the democracy.
No, but
and good for our learning curve.
But your government is looking like it's not fully in control.
Rahul, let me tell you one thing.
First
of all, what result will you say this? What is it this result means? It's a pro-incumbency or it's an anti-incumbency? It's a pro-incumbency election. That means majority of the people of this country believe in the Prime Minister. We are talking of UP results, but we are not thinking one thing. In 13 states, Congress has not won a single. What we suffer, where we suffered losses, if you analyze the terms of loss, it's UP, it's Bengal, where we were anticipating more, but we came down, and it's Rajasthan and Maharashtra. 4 states we suffered loss. We are trying to figure it out how the losses went. But what about the rest of the country? Okay. Don't forget that in spite of all these kind of narratives that Samvidhan khatam ho jayega, Arakshan khatam ho jayega, Modi aa jayenge, quoting every ill things about the BJP, they managed to stuck a narrative. That's what today Yogi Adityanath said, ki ek kaat ki handi bar bar nahi chadegi. Now we are trying.
Sharad Pradhan.
Now after 2 years, when we go into election, and nothing of this narrative is going to happen, and Prime Minister
but you don't know that. But you don't know that there could be another narrative. You're saying that this kind of a narrative won't be there.
When you are saying that we used to be the champion of narrative, we won't let them fix the narrative this time. This is for sure.
How do you know that?
This is for sure. We are working on that.
Narrative is like a genie. Once it's out of the bottle, you don't know.
Right now, on sitting on your channel, the narrative is being made that the BJP has lost. The fact is, we are in the absolute majority.
We're only dealing with Uttar Pradesh at this moment, and we're dealing with the allied trouble that you're having.
You're right. That's what I'm saying. Even in Uttar Pradesh, we are in absolute majority with allies. Allies realizes this.
Okay.
That we have to go into election together.
Different ways of looking at it. Ajay Alok has a point.
Yes.
One, they're still in power. You know, no matter how much Ghanshyam Tiwari and his party and the opposition dances, they're still dancing on the opposition benches. They're in power, and that's a good place to be in politics. Point number 2.
Yeah.
In earlier avatars, the BJP could control the narrative. For some reason, the narrative now seems to have slipped out of their control. Their own allies, ministers, MLAs, state party chief, they're all speaking out, and it's appearing chaotic, which is the way Indian politics usually is, except it hasn't been like that for the last 10 years. What are you making of the state of play?
Well, Rahul, the answer is very simple. Obviously, there is some green signal from somewhere, which means the Delhi Darbar of the BJP. Otherwise, this would not be happening. Whether it's the allies or the leaders within the party.
Now you are doing aag mein ghee. Now you are doing aag mein ghee.
When he has not done it.
No. It's simple as that. As simple as that. I don't know. One has to be politically naive not to understand this. And to believe that all is well within the UP BJP, that would be like a joke after all this. And everybody, when they talk of bureaucrats, blaming it on bureaucrats, it has happened through the decades. When you blame bureaucrats, your target is the chief minister. And in this case too, it is as simple as that, and very easily intelligible to anybody who knows Uttar Pradesh, that they are targeting Yogi Adityanath and none.
No, but there is no evidence to back that. There is no evidence at this moment to back that charge.
Because attacking bureaucrats is absolute nonsense. Because that is only to pass the buck, so that you don't have to directly attack the chief minister. So, because everything, whoever is sitting in power, the bureaucrats have to follow whatever.
Ajay Alok, respond to this. You know, this is what.
Ajay Alok will obviously defend, because his job is to defend.
Sure.
So, anything that the party does. And his job is to also defend the Prime Minister. So that the blame is not for the defeat. If Modi is responsible for winning all the states, as he said, all those states where they have done very well, then why should Modi not take the blame?
Sharad Pradhan is saying on television what is otherwise discussed off camera. The charge is that there is some hari handi from someone in Delhi, which is why these allies are dancing in the way that they are, which is why they are saying what they are. Without some kind of a green signal, they dare not do this.
Sharad Pradhan is entitled to say what he wants to say, and he has been saying it for the long time. But by merely thinking that there is a chaos, there is a mess in BJP, the BJP does not believe in chaos and mess. So it's our problem, it's our house. So we know how to set the house in order. We don't need preaching, and we don't need lectures from outside that how our house should be in order. Like you remember 2017, it took us 19-20 days to select the CM. Then there was chaos. Why so delay? Why so delay? Whom they want to put some puppet, this and that. Now Delhi green signal to disturb Yogi. Why all this chaos? Yogi is still the chief minister. He's still the sitting chief minister, and the state is doing very nice. We are एक झटका क्या लगा? सब हमें ज्ञान देना शुरू कर दिए.
वो तो क्रिकेट में भी होता है.
वो क्रिकेट में भी
रोहित
होता है.
शर्मा,
Every day is not
विराट
Sunday.
कोहली, they all take ज्ञान. The moment they don't score a century, everybody thinks he wants to
Every day
advise
is
the
not a
captain.
Sunday. Every day is not a Sunday. And remember, we are a constant player. We are a constant player.
No, but Sharad Pradhan is saying the gyan is coming from your allies and your own partners. It's not coming from outside.
Good enough. We are democratic enough to take gyan. We are not the one who is sitting in 10 Janpath and does not take gyan from anyone.
No,
only
this
takes
charge,
tips.
Ghanshyam Tiwari, that it's happening from Delhi, green signal. This is all political.
Ghanshyam Tiwari does not take gyan from Rahul Gandhi, who recently said that if Congress comes to power, we'll place a Muslim chief minister in UP.
Who does he take gyan from?
He doesn't take gyan from
He doesn't
Congress.
take gyan.
Amitabh said something interesting. He said MY model, Modi Yogi model. So Mr. Modi thinks it's MY model. Mr. Amit Shah says it's MAY model, May model. But people are saying it's a YAM model, YAM. Yogi, Amit Shah and Modi. It's doomed to fail. The verdict is that you cannot escape the fact that every day, you pick up the newspaper, every day the BJP graph is getting punctured further. They came up with, what's their desperation? Their desperation
No,
is
but
to
how do
somehow
you... We will know when the bypolls happen whether that's true or not. Right now, that's just your charge.
The whole,
what looks like desperate to you?
The whole diabolical idea that in the shops should display their names, the Hindu-Muslim agenda, they try to overplay it. Even this whole Nazul bill, the way the Yogi Adityanath government is conducting itself, in that speech where the chief minister said कि मठ में मुझे प्रतिष्ठा मिलेगी. That is
That was on law and order. That was not on the Nazul bill.
He said, I'm coming to that. For him to say that मुझे प्रतिष्ठा चाहिए तो मठ में चले जाऊंगा.
He didn't say that.
He didn't say that.
He said इससे ज़्यादा प्रतिष्ठा तो मुझे मठ में मिली.
कहाँ प्रतिष्ठा नहीं मिल रही है? कहाँ उनका अपमान हो रहा है? It is in BJP quarters that he is not.
He was responding to the opposition.
He was saying
अरे
that
आप यहाँ से कुछ ले रहे हो, यहाँ से कुछ ले रहे हो, अपने हिसाब से जोड़ रहे हो.
He does not get the
You have become master of fake narrative.
He is saying that मुझे मठ में प्रतिष्ठा मिलेगी क्योंकि यहाँ प्रतिष्ठा नहीं मिल रही है. He is feeling the heat. And
वो प्रतिष्ठा नहीं मिल रही है. You are adding that.
That's visible. Nobody see Nazul bill. Why did I say Nazul bill? On Nazul bill, I said what Anupriya Patel said. The bill was hijacked or in fact stalled by none other than the state president of BJP.
Not stalled. He's saying they had a discussion.
He's not saying that. No, they were absolutely clear. They wanted it to be passed, but it is the state president of BJP who is stalling it.
I want to come to the next set of questions.
One line, Rahul.
Yes.
Nazul bill हमला है, नज़ला ही नहीं हो गया. I don't understand what is their problem.
Okay, the good thing is Indian politics is exciting, it's chaotic, and that's great for journalism. You know, that I have absolutely no quarrels with. But it's also, as Ajay Alok said, a challenge that the BJP needs to deal with because they haven't had to deal with this kind of mess in the last 10 years. Now I want to come to the next question. If there is a plan to replace Yogi Adityanath, what could be the reason for any move to remove Yogi Adityanath? A section of the party is unhappy, say 26% of the respondents. Poor performance in the Lok Sabha elections is 26% of the respondents. Pressure from alliance partners is 8%. All of the above is 14%. Within NDA voters, section of the party being unhappy is 31%. Poor performance in recent polls is 18%. As I said earlier, what the Congress voters think, what SP voters think doesn't matter as much, so I won't spend too much time because this is really about how the UP government of Yogi Adityanath is being performed. Let's now come to the next question. What is the party leadership's role in this row? Standing solidly behind Yogi Adityanath, say 35% of the total respondents and 47% of NDA voters. So, half the voters say they're standing solidly behind Yogi Adityanath. 29% say they're actively considering replacing Yogi Adityanath. Trying to mediate is 7%. Have left it to the state leadership is 6%. And that's the broad breakup of how the party leadership, which is Mr. Shah, Prime Minister Modi, Home Minister Shah, the BJP President Nadda ji, how do they see the role of the party leadership in this row? Will the outcome of the upcoming bypolls impact the position of Yogi Adityanath? This becomes really the litmus question. Forget any question in this PSC. Those 10 seats of Uttar Pradesh, they are worth more than 100, I tell you, because what happens on those 10 seats will determine the line and length UP politics and arguably Indian politics takes from here. So those 10 seats are crucial, and I think as somebody pointed out, voters are smart, they get things really quickly. 39% say a positive outcome will strengthen Yogi Adityanath. 36% say a negative outcome will weaken Yogi Adityanath. You know, this is the point. Ghanshyam Tiwari was saying, oh, there is so much evidence. The only evidence we'll actually have beyond the Lok Sabha elections is the result of the bipoles, the 10 bipoles will really determine. Everything else is hawabazi. Patangbazi, hawabazi, call it what you will. These 10 bipoles will determine what really happens. And there, 5 are your seats, 3 are BJP seats and 2 are ally seats. So remember, that's something that voters need to remember. 5 you're sitting on, the BJP only has 3, BJP allies have 2.
I think politics is a running scorecard. And on an everyday basis, when you see Akhilesh Yadav's leadership in the parliament, when you see PDA
इनको मजे आ रहे हैं अखिलेश जी को आजकल बहुत और आपके एक्सपेंस से मजे ले रहे हैं.
Say it play out. You have a young leader, witty, responding to everything that the government is saying, taking up the public issues. What did Yogi Adityanath say about paper leak? He did not respond. When you have a leader, the largest number of students affected by paper leak are in Uttar Pradesh. The chief minister, the deputy chief minister, they don't speak about it. When you have a dysfunctional government, you don't speak about people's issues. You overplay the tried and tested hateful model that people have rejected. And I think, yes, bipolar are important, but this is a running scorecard in which
do you concede that the opposition is looking far more charged than they were in the past, that these Lok Sabha results have come as such a shot in the arm that Akhilesh, Rahul Gandhi really seemed very aggressive, and it's the BJP which was previously aggressive that's now having to push back?
It's not a matter of getting pushed back or something. Yes, the Lok Sabha results, any result for that matter, it strengthens the party morale, it strengthens the party cadre, and it changes the dynamics and flow. There's no doubt about it. I accept it. But even if in defeat, like what we have come down from 62 to 33, now our party workers, now our voters realize that what mistake we have done and what we shouldn't do. Because what is happening with their winning? Just imagine. Avdesh Prasad, we keep on talking Ayodhya, Ayodhya, Ayodhya. His right-hand man was arrested yesterday. Moin Khan or something. He has raped a 16-year-old girl, and that too from an extremely backward community. I mean, by getting empowered with the political power, this party has a character that they will just unleash their activity. Now, the people of the state will realize this.
Typically, we've seen this, Yashwant Deshmukh, that the BJP tends to do badly when BJP workers are overconfident. You know, it's like the Indian cricket team. हमें मालूम है कि जीत रहे हैं तो फिर सब chill करते हैं. When they know that they have their back against their wall, is typically when the BJP has pushed back hardest they've fought, the hardest they've seen, the most energized. Now that's the hope that the likes of Ajay Alok and those in the BJP will have, that the worker will be energized. The other way of looking at it is, when the narrative slips out of your control, when the messaging goes out that the opposition is re-energized, that the government is on the defensive and on the back foot, that narrative can have a life of its own, which makes it very difficult for the government then to push back. How do you see it play out from here?
Well, Rahul, first of all, the biggest thing is that UP was a shocker in this Lok Sabha elections. If there is a 10 years long very strong central government, that central government now on the allies support, without a majority, if there is one state which has done that, is Uttar Pradesh. So to think that that kind of a shocker will not have any kind of repercussion in public perception and as far as real politics, I think that would be wrong. There would be introspection, there would be things how BJP treats that, how public is looking at it, and how the opposition is using that narrative are two different things. But yes, one thing is very much sure, Rahul. I don't remember when was the last set of bipolls will be looked down upon with that kind of interest. When was the last time? I don't really remember.
So, Amitabh Tiwari, I read your detailed analysis on the 10 bipolls for the India Today Data Intelligence Unit. 5-3-2, that's the starting point score line. Based on the research that you've done and the dynamic that is developing, what's your assessment of how these are likely to play out? Amitabh Tiwari.
So see, essentially, if you see the bipolls, normally the incumbent government has an upper hand in bipolls, correct? But this incumbent government is on a back foot because of pressure within the party and the alliance, questions about leadership and discussions about whom to fix responsibility upon. As Yashwantji mentioned, it's not only a loss in UP, it is the loss in UP which has pushed BJP below the majority mark. That is why the responsibility will have to be fixed, and that is why corrective measures need to be taken. It's 5-5 as of now. Even if BJP gets 6, then the momentum and the narrative starts to change. See, two things have happened. How did BJP win UP? Largely on the support of non-Yadav OBCs and non-Jatavs. These have drifted towards the Samajwadi Party alliance. Why? Because the narrative that they have a lesser share in the power pie, this was the narrative with which BJP got them onto their fold, and this is the narrative which India Bloc is using to get the voters back, because top 2 of the 3 positions are occupied by upper caste. And even in 2017, when Keshav Prasad Maurya was not made the CM because he was the state president and the face, and the BJP came back on the support of OBC voters, there was a lot of hue and cry at that point also. And the internal report also mentions that BJP needs to take corrective actions to stop this Agada versus Pichada politics narrative growing. And that's the challenge for the BJP here.
Rajat Sethi, typically when you've got, and I'm not just talking about India or Uttar Pradesh, but when you've got a system where, you know, there's been a vacuum of conversation or controversy because there's a tight control that's been kept, you know, sometimes when that bottle is opened, everything that's pent up inside just comes out. Now, either it can come out and then the fizz is gone because whatever was built up is gone, and then sanity and sense is restored. The other is that it's building up for so long that that then becomes the new normal. And, you know, there's no clear answer to that question, but the response to this question will determine. The BJP is hoping that, okay, a semblance of normalcy will be restored, our workers will be motivated, they'll go out, campaign hard. The SP is thinking, okay, we've got this. The UP ke ladke are back in it. So now there are at least 2 narratives which are clashing with each other. Earlier, the UP result is despite the SP and the Congress not thinking they had much of a chance, then you've got this result. Now when they think they have a good chance, they'll fight harder, making it tougher for the BJP.
See, in Rahul, in the current complex problem around UP, you need to break it into 2 parts. One is, you know, how do you design an entire perception game? And the other is the hard numbers. And hard numbers have to be looked at. Why Bahujana Samaj Party remained relevant with its 13% to 18% vote share consistently, because it was ensuring that a counter social engineering could not be created by Akhilesh Yadav, and she always remains important, corner in this triangular contest that happens in Uttar Pradesh. But the sudden avalanche that has happened in Bahujana Samaj Party's votes, and that gravitating towards one party instead of going to the BJP, has also sort of played into a number game. Now, the challenge before Samajwadi Party would be that all the shifts that you've seen in the vote segments, how permanent is that shift? Is it that now the OBCs, the broad-based OBC umbrella, are seeing some kind of a social justice under a very, very Yadav-dominated party? Answer is no. I personally still feel that the OBC segments, especially the Patels, the Kurmis, etc., which in bulk moved and experimented going out.
That's the question, Sharad Pawar. Ek baar ka gussa hai ya baar ka gussa hai? Nobody knows the answer to that. Everyone has their own theory. It could be a one-off expression of anger, or there could be a pushback against Yadav dominance as there has been in the past.
Well, dominance of Yadavs is now history in the Samajwadi Party. My observation is from the way he gave tickets to candidates, you will find more non-Yadav OBCs who got elected in the Samajwadi Party at the Lok Sabha elections this time. So it's certainly that's history there. And as far as what is going on, what is concerned, is that the BJP is, because to concentrate and give so much importance to these 10 Vidhan Sabha seats in a house of 403, where the ruling dispensation already has 273, is only to target Yogi Adityanath, because his fate is linked to these 10 seats. Ideally, in any situation, in any political state, no political party would give so much importance to these 10 seats, which their 10 seats are absolutely innocuous. This importance is being given because there is some design. I see it as a design.
So you've obviously been reading a lot of political controversies into what's happening. We can only comment on the state of play at this moment. You know, few things are clear. These 10 seats are very significant. No matter who says what, these 10 seats are a matter of life and death for the Yogi Adityanath government, because if he's able to win as many of these as possible, he sends a strong message to his detractors, which is why he's got this Mission 30. They're going all out, trying to find ways of winning these. And the opposition thinks we're in with a chance. Earlier, Akhilesh and Rahul Gandhi were dispirited. Now they themselves and their workers think they have a real chance. What happens next, we don't know. But what we know for sure is it's game on in Uttar Pradesh. I want to thank Ajay Alok and Ghanshyam Tiwari for joining us in the studios. Thanks also to Yashwant Deshmukh and his team for the numbers, Amitabh Tiwari for his analysis, Rajat Sethi and Sharad Pradhan. Thank you for joining me on the News Track.